All right, everyone, welcome back to, I guess, part three. What were we talking about at the end of the second part? What the hell were we talking
We're
about?
talking about draft a little bit.
Oh, that's right, right. Losing my mind over here. Yes, you're talking about traps. Yes, you asked me if I was happy or not if we lost the first pick. That's right. That's right. Um, yeah. I think as far as the playoffs, I think we covered playoffs pretty well. We have most of the same wild card picks. I think the only different ones are you have Denver upsetting the Bills and Washington upsetting the Bucks. Upsetting, but I wouldn't even really consider it that much of an upset of Washington won. Then we both have the same championship games. You have KC, Baltimore, Detroit, Philly. Both have Baltimore going all the way. I have Philly. You have the Lions. Kind of tempted to switch my pick. Then you have the Lions winning it all. I had the Ravens, so we're kind of close to their bracket at least.
The same Super Bowl as well. So,
Yeah. Well, I have a Baltimore Phillies Super Bowl.
oh, that's right. That's right.
I hope it's Baltimore at Detroit. That would be an interesting Super Bowl. I really hope Detroit wins it all this year, though.
I know I can't. I do not want the Eagles to get into another Super Bowl. Upset
If
me.
if they lose this one, that'll be 2 and 3 years they'll have lost.
And then everybody else can't keep their mouths shut about Saquon Barkley to me. So that's usually
Yeah,
Saquon Barkley. Look at what you gave up. It's like, yeah, I know.
I know.
But
On Hard Knocks,
no,
John Morrison, he's not going to sleep if he goes to Philly.
yeah. And then what are you making a joke out of, John? What's so funny? Like, because he went after the meeting, he goes, "Oh yeah, like." I had an acting career in my day. I can't believe that I didn't get to get in the
Uh,
commercial.
yeah,
Like, bro, what are
yeah,
you talking about? Shut up. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, like we are having an awful season in our 100th season, and you have the audacity to say something funny about that. Like what are you doing? Like what is your problem? Like, we're struggling out here and you're cracking jokes with the media. It's like, bro, what are you doing? I don't know. John Mara, I, I love his family's history. Love his family's history. As an owner, this dude is just outdated. Like he just doesn't understand the concept of his organization. And it's just so upsetting. Like, okay, yes, a viral video leaked of on Hard Knocks of you talking about Saquon. Like, oh, I can't sleep at night. But like, just leave it at that, bro. Don't
yeah. Don't make a joke
no
out
reason
of
to
it.
keep going on about that. Like, we know. Like, don't crack jokes with the media and bring it up again. It's like, oh my gosh, dude. As a Giants fan, dude, life's just it's insane. For the last
That's
10 years, it's atrocious.
I know.
Atrocious. This will
That's
go down as Giants history. This span of 10 years will be Giants history of just pathetic. Just absolutely pathetic.
yeah.
So,
That's
yeah,
like
that's John
Mayo
Mara.
making a like playing cards after we got blown up by the Cardinals. Laughing and joking. It's like, what the hell are you doing? It's like I hate losing. It's like at this point I'm just like numb to it because we've been so bad outside of the Mac Jones's rookie year in 21. We've been so bad since Brady left. I'm like numb to it, but I hate losing. I like lose sleep over it. And I think as a fan, I'm losing sleep over it. I can't even imagine as a head coach. And clearly it doesn't affect him too much. He's friggin' playing cards, making jokes. Like, what the hell are you doing? That's I can't stand. I
I don't
hate
know.
losing. I hate losing. And that's what kind of pisses me off about the NFL today. Is like after games, like I don't expect the players to like storm off the field. Like, yes, it's fine, you can shake hands and stuff, but you lose in heartbreaking fashion. They're all smiles and giggles. Like, can you sign my jersey? It's like you just lost the game. It's like I'd be wanting to rip the guys' heads off
Yeah.
that across the field.
Especially like a choke game. Like, let's say like you're up by 10 and you have to, oh, it's so great to see you. Like I understand like they have personal lives outside of the NFL, but it's like, bro,
Yeah.
that doesn't like eat you alive. And
It
they'll
was
they'll do that. They'll do that. They'll like
oh
dap
yeah.
up everybody at the end of the game, and then they'll go into the locker room, complain to the media about how dysfunctional they
Yeah.
are. Meanwhile, they're shaking hands and dapping up everybody with a smile and taking pictures and stuff. It's like, bro,
That was, I think it
get in
was,
the locker room. Like that's I think that's the part of the old school like mindset that a lot of the old guys miss
yeah,
is like that kind of mentality. It's like, nah, fuck you. I don't really like how you were doing this in the game. Like look at remember that viral video of Trent Williams and Richard Sherman back then, you
yeah,
know. But
yeah.
even further than that, like a lot of guys miss that. So I think that's a lot of the old school stuff.
Yeah, that was like Saquon after they blew that game to the Falcons. Saquon friggin' if that was me, I would have just had my head like in between my legs on the bench for like an eternity after that game. He's like dapping up the players like Avante Maddox is like getting torched. They're down like 24-0 in the box, and he's acting Mike Evans if he still plays Fortnite. It's like what the hell are you doing? You're getting your ass kicked here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's insane. I lose sleep over the Giants every year, so
Oh
I've had a
yeah.
lot of sleepless nights with these guys.
I
So
know that's people keep saying that we're due for a couple shitty years because we were so good for 20 plus years with Brady. It's like, well, he's been
I
gone.
told you I told you that.
Yeah, I
Yep.
know, but it's like outside of 21, we've been bad since then. It's like we gotta start. I guess 22 is as unfunctional, dysfunctional as we were. We were a game out of the playoffs, but like the past 2 years, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like it has been a disaster. Oh
Yeah. Try it
God.
for 10.
Huh? Oh,
Try it
just
for 10
try for
years.
10. I know that at least you don't have to worry about our teams losing in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. That's true. But oh my gosh, when we lost to the Eagles after the Vikings win, I was so happy because it was just so enjoyable of just seeing the Giants in the playoffs. Like it really like I was so happy just to even see my team in the I think it was the second round,
Yeah.
and I was happy. And everybody was like trying to get me mad. I'm like, I don't care. I was like, this is awesome. We haven't been to the playoffs since 2016. And then, 2021 was when we went to the playoffs. And now I'm just like, damn. Like I want to go back to the playoffs. And even if we lose in the first round, I'm just still happy we're in the freaking playoffs.
Yeah, that was when
Yeah.
we played the Bills, not this past week, but week 16, it was a 4 like 30, 4:25 start. It's dark out there, you get the spotlights on, we're up 14 nothing. I'm like getting flashbacks when we were like a top team. And then we played like normal and allowed 24 straight after. That's I think like Denver's in the same situation now. Like even if they get blown out, like just get slaughtered by the Bills. It's like no one expected them to be here. I think I had them at 4 and like 13 or like 5 and 12, let alone making the playoffs. So I think even if they get their asses kicked, they have to be happy with how the season went.
I think you could also say the same thing about the Commanders fans. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's even when the season ends. Okay. So let's say the Commanders go out against the Bucks and they lose. I think you could even look at that game as a Commanders fan and be like, you know what? We still have something in Jaden Daniels. We still had one of the most biggest turnovers in the league, like with roster changes. We need to evaluate this offseason and bulk up a Super Bowl contending roster for the next year. Because a lot of these contracts for these rookie quarterbacks, a lot of these general managers and a lot of these guys want to win with quarterbacks on rookie deals. Because the time you get to Jaden Daniels and he's in his sixth year, he's going to get paid. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. I mean, probably $60 million. I mean, Dak got 60, didn't he? He got 60 million. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dak got 60. I mean,
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels is going to command by the time he gets to where he's going to be. I mean, after the Stroud contract, after possibly a Bryce Young contract in the next couple of years, Jaden Daniels is probably going to get 82, 85 million.
Yeah. That when the Chiefs gave Mahomes that mega contract, it was like Jesus, like what the hell are they do? Not that they overpaid for him because it's Mahomes, but it's like now it's like that's just a normal standard
It's
contract.
probably the best contract in NFL history.
Yeah,
That contract is probably the best contract in 10 years for 40 million a year. Meanwhile, he signed that. I think it was in like when did he sign that? Like
like
2018,
20,
2019?
yeah,
Maybe even a
yeah,
little bit later.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's the steal of the century. It was $40 million, 10 years. Daniel Jones got paid, everybody knows that contract. But look at like what these guys are commanding now. I mean, Dak got 60 million,
Yeah,
20 million more than what Mahomes had. I think they reworked it a little bit. I think maybe he's getting paid a little bit more now,
yeah.
but like, holy moly, dude. Jaden Daniels could command 82, $85 million. Jamar Chase this offseason, he's going to get
Oh
45.
yeah,
I could see him. He's probably gonna get 40. He'll probably get 40 million because Justin Jefferson got 35 a
yeah.
year. Jamar Chase is probably gonna get 40 million.
Hmm.
So with him getting 40 million, what does that say to the rest of the future coming up about the future star wide receivers? I think by the time our generation class, this last draft class, with Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, Brian Thomas, Lad McConkey, um, Jalen Polk, just to say. I think all these guys, except Jalen Polk, are going to command like probably the same amount. I mean, by the time it gets up there, we're probably looking at 50 million for a superstar wide receiver, which
Yeah.
is so crazy. The cap is going to completely soar with all the gambling rights,
Oh yeah.
because the gambling rights are only going to get better as the years progress. You're going to see more states legalize gambling. More income is going to be flowing into the NFL. I know we see more streaming services now. We're looking at Netflix, right? We're looking at Prime, still keeping it strong with them. Who knows what's next with the streaming services? So it's going to be incredible to see even um, these numbers rise and how much
Yeah.
these players are going to command on the open market. It's going to be scary. It's going to be insane.
Yeah. If you look at like a QB contract from like 2000s, it's like literally nothing compared to now. It's like Purdy's contract, well, a bit more than that, but
Yeah, what
it's
do you
like
think Purdy's
insane.
gonna get? What do you think Brock Purdy's gonna get this
That
year?
see, I don't know. They're in an I mean, it said they're going to pay him, but they're in an interesting spot because they obviously need to pay him. If they don't, some team is probably going to overpay him. Uh, but they're in an interesting spot. They're probably going to give him. I don't know. They got to give him a good amount though. But that's if they do. The problem is the reason they've been so good the past couple of years. Well, not this year, obviously, but it's because he's on his rookie contract. So they're basically paying him nothing, so they can pay all the other guys, and they get some key free guys that they're probably gonna have to let walk if they pay Purdy all that money. Or they could just do what the Saints do or the Rams and just turn the salary cap off like it's a franchise.
Or the Eagles? That's what the Eagles do too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think Brock Purdy is going to command a number that's in the range of, because I think he's going to get more than Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins this past year got 45 million.
yeah, that was
I
a
think
disaster.
I think Brock Purdy is going to command somewhere to 50 to 55 million dollars
Yeah,
because
probably.
Dak set the market for 60 million. So Dak Prescott set the market at 60 million.
Yeah,
Uh, I know that Jordan Love, I think, got 55. I think Jordan Love got 55 this last offseason.
yeah,
Jalen Hurts got like 53.5 million. So like all these guys that are commanding these numbers, I mean, Brock Purdy is going to get 50 million. I can see Brock Purdy getting 50. He has a hard case to not give him 50 because of his statistics,
yeah,
his numbers I mean, he led his team to the Super Bowl. I mean, he did go to the Super Bowl, so he can say like, "Oh yeah, like I want 50. I want 55." He can command those kinds of numbers and everything's good. Like T Higgins, for example. He said to the Bengals that he's okay with not resetting the market or
yeah.
somewhere around there, right? First of all, when I'm a player entering free agency, I'm trying to look for the most money and where am I going to succeed, right? T. Higgins is a second round pick 33, I believe. I think he was pick 33 at Clemson. But this guy is going to command ballpark probably maybe Ayuk to Pickens numbers, probably like 30 to 35.
Yeah.
Probably around, he's probably going to get 30 million, T. Higgins, as a number two. Now, with that money that the Bengals have, do you address the defense instead of just addressing T. Higgins? Because I think T. Higgins is gone. You can franchise tag T. Higgins, but the only thing about that is that money cannot be moved, right? So
Mhm.
that's non-maneuverable money. So they would have to tag him and then extend him or just let him walk. I think you have something in Jamar Chase that you still need to pay, and he's still
Yeah,
unhappy. I think you have to sign Jamar Chase. Like Brock
yeah.
Purdy, T. Higgins, these guys, they know their worth to the team. They're gonna command a big number.
Yeah, I definitely think Chase is they're going to try to re-sign him over Higgins. It seems like Higgins, what seemed like he was 100% gone, but then when the Bengals ended their year on the 5-game winning streak, he said he's basically willing to take a pay cut to stay there. I think they actually have a decent amount of cap. The problem is they can use it, but those two guys are going to be like the only two that they're going to be able to re-sign. And their defense is obviously a disaster this year. Even though on paper it honestly wasn't that bad, but they also just let Anarumo go. I thought they were going to keep him. The defense played a bit better the last couple of games. I thought they were going to keep him, but yeah, they definitely have a lot to address defensively.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Joe Burrow makes other wide receivers look good, right?
Yeah,
He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But the thing is you have to see it's so hard because Jamar Chase is going to command a large amount of money,
yeah,
right? Um, T. Higgins is going to command a large amount of money. I don't know what's going on with I don't know with Zach Moss. I know he's kind of banged up. I know he's on a cheaper deal for running back, but I mean, it's just there's so much money to go around that you have to spend it on the worst position on or the worst
yeah.
positions on your team. And for the Bengals, that's defense easily.
Oh yeah.
So you got to let T. Higgins walk, in my opinion.
I picked the Bengals to friggin' win the Super Bowl this year. I look like a friggin' idiot. And I didn't even going into the year, I wasn't even like super high. I picked them to go 14-3 because even though I thought this is like kind of one of the weaker teams in the Burrow era and like they had the offseason drama with Chase and stuff, I didn't like the vibes going into the year. And they just had like a really easy schedule on paper. And then once they get into playoffs, they're like a different beast. So I'm like, I look like an idiot for picking them. And their offense, I mean, if they made the playoffs, Burrow, you can make an argument, should have won MVP. Just their defense, I cannot believe how awful their defense was this year.
Yeah, I mean, I said the same thing about the Cowboys though, because at the beginning of the year, I was very confused what they were doing with Dak Prescott and like playing games with Dak Prescott, playing games with CeeDee Lamb. I
Yeah,
was so confused on what they were trying to do. And for that reason, I actually picked them to miss the playoffs. I picked the Cowboys to miss the playoffs this year. Part of it was because of CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott not being and even Parsons not being happy with what he was getting and like being offered. They were just like, oh, we'll figure it out later. So with that being said, Dan Quinn, who constructed that defense well the other year, went to the Commanders and he took that head coaching job. I also thought that was a huge role in the Cowboys not winning games this year, right? And it turns out they only won 7 games or something this year and missed out in the playoffs.
yeah,
But should have probably won 8 with the Commanders game, but they
yeah,
blew that one.
yeah, they
But
blew it.
that's the problem is you have guys that follow Dan Quinn over to Washington. And the Cowboys just struggled without him, without Dan Quinn, because Dan Quinn is a really good coach. And he did a great job with that Cowboys team, transitioning it with Deron Bland and Diggs. And, what
Yeah,
they did in that scheme was just incredible. And then you take that away. I think that was a huge part of why Dallas missed out in the playoffs. Of course, the Dak injury, like I said before, but that was a huge part of them on their downfall.
well, yeah, Dan Quinn was the DC with the Legion of Boom with the Seahawks. Then, the Mike Zimmer hire, I was like, he definitely, his schemes are super old school, and I think they definitely got outdated and figured out. That's why he wasn't in the league for the 2 years prior. But I mean, like week one against the Browns, they looked like the friggin' 85 Bears on defense. And
I
then,
was so scared of that game. That game, I was like, oh my gosh, the Cowboys, they actually look
I
legit this year.
I know, and then we found out just because the Browns were so god awful, and then their defense like shit the bed most of the year after that.
Yeah, crazy,
It looks like they're
crazy.
going to keep Zimmer though. They haven't fired him yet, and then it certainly looks like they're going to re-sign McCarthy because they just denied the Bears interview request to interview him. So Another probably
It's insane.
mid-year for the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's insane. But,
Yeah. All right. Is there any other topic you want to talk about?
I
I
don't
think
think
we
so. I think we
covered a
covered pretty
lot
much
here.
everything. We did
Yeah,
it
I
all.
know.
We did it all this podcast. We did
I know.
playoffs, Giants and Patriots, and
I know.
contracts.
We're gonna
Good stuff.
be. I also randomly remember that thing I was gonna say about Mayo. He to me was just not someone that like Kraft hired him with the intention of wanting to bring us back to the playoffs and like championships. Like I at not at all do I see Gerard Mayo like being the guy that puts together like some masterful game plan to like outcoach like a Mike Tomlin or like Harbaugh or like Andy Reid. Like that would have been a disaster. So I do think he needed to be fired. I do feel bad because he's probably not ever gonna get a coaching gig again, and his Patriots tenure is just ruined now because he was a great player, but everyone's just gonna remember him for the shit show that was this year.
I understand what you're saying. However, like what you're saying with scheming up things to beat some of these top head coaches. First of all, there was nothing to scheme. Like that's the
Yeah,
problem. Is there was nothing to scheme with the way that you guys your offensive line played this year. The way that your offensive line played this year, the way that um even like certain like defensive things that you guys were struggling with. Like in my opinion, I think you still needed to see him with talent. I understand everything that has to do with, his personality, like playing with the players after a loss or like doing things like that. But I think you didn't have a sample size of what you actually wanted to see with him. That's
yeah,
why I think I understand there was things that he, 4-13 or, whatever that goes on with that and all that. But I think you need talent to evaluate a coach. I think you need
yeah.
talent to evaluate a team. I think you need talent regardless. And the thing is they did not set him up for that, which you agree with, which you absolutely
Oh
agree with.
yeah,
But I think you need more time to see what you actually have. Because down the road, let's say he does get a head coaching job somewhere, right? With 4 or 5 years down the road, you've been like, oh yeah, like we had him for 1 year. Oh, why didn't we keep him?
yeah,
Because he was playing cards with the players after. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to see what he really is. Um, just to, just to give yourself a fair shot, just
yeah,
for the organization. But did feel like I don't know that, and maybe the organization saw something different, so they decided to get rid of him and just get something proven, I guess,
yeah.
in your coaching position.
Yeah, that's
But
definitely like even though I do think he should have been fired, like that definitely like you it's hard to evaluate a rookie head coach, especially with very little talent. I didn't expect him, of course, to like, put together master game plans, like outcoach people with the roster he was given. But it just seemed like I don't know, we were just getting worse throughout the year. And maybe expectations were set too high after we upset the Bengals week 1. It's like, oh my, and then we should have beaten the friggin' Seahawks week 2. That game pissed me off so much. So then after that, when we got slaughtered by the Jets week 3, that Thursday game, it's like, and we're right back to normal. So maybe expectations were set too high, and it is hard to evaluate. It's kind of like when Steve Wilkes got his head coaching gig with the Cardinals a couple of years ago, and he had Josh Rosen. Like that roster was terrible. He went 3-13. He got fired. It's like, well, you can't really evaluate him. He had nothing. Or like David Culley with the Texans a couple of years ago. Like same thing with him. Like Dayball, for example, like he, has a proven track record as a head coach. First year went to the playoffs. Second year, they were competitive, not great, but still competitive, dealing with injuries. This was like the first shitter year, but it's like at least he has prior history. It gets tough with a rookie head coach. But yeah, hopefully we just hire
on
Vrabel. But
the
then we should have just hired Vrabel last year initially. We're kind of a mess right now, but I can't see it getting much worse. I'm gonna knock on wood for that, but uh,
Yeah, I can't wait till we get around draft time, like the prime of draft time, and then we can
Yeah.
evaluate like, what's going on, where do we stand, what's happening with free agency. Because when free agency sets you up for the draft, right? In my opinion, my philosophy, like if I was to be a general manager and address the draft, in the draft, I go best player available. In the free agency period, I go for need, right? So that's
Yeah.
how I evaluate the draft and free agency is the draft sets you up for the future, but the free agency period sets you up for it can set you up for the future in a prime position that you need to give extra money to, but it really sets the standard going into the season. And you can get little hints and stuff through free agency. Like I thought for sure Kirk Cousins, and let's talk about that Falcons draft pick. I thought for sure that the Falcons set themselves up to draft a guy like Dallas Turner,
Oh
Latu a lot.
yeah.
I thought Jared Verse was a little early, but he's playing probably
Yeah, he's
the
been a
best,
stud.
he's
Probably
probably the best
defensive rookie
defensive.
of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, probably defensive end. He's probably the best defensive end. But I thought it was a little early during the scouting process. Latu and Dallas Turner were on the board, and I thought they were for sure going with one of them. Then, especially after you give Kirk Cousins $100 million guaranteed with 45 million a year. So I think he got a little bit more than that. I don't know how
Yeah.
much he got.
I think it was
He got
180.
45. Yeah, it was something crazy, but something with guaranteed money that
Yeah.
really was confusing. But 45 million a year for Kirk Cousins, I was like, okay, there we go. They're gonna get their guy. They're gonna get their edge. And they went and end up going quarterback, and I was like, whoa, what's going? Like, I was so confused, right? Now,
Yeah.
fast forward to now, Kirk Cousins is probably getting released. So, what was the point of giving him that contract? And Penix, I love Penix. I actually think he's a really good quarterback. I think he reads defenses very well. I also think that comes with experience, like from Washington, because I think he played like 5 years or 5, 6 years on Washington, something insane.
Yeah.
But I think Penix is a really good quarterback. It was just his injury concerns going into the draft. A lot of people did not like that, but I think that um, the Falcons need to do better with their draft picks. I mean, I was not a fan of drafting Bijan with that eighth pick that other year.
Yeah.
Because
And they
think
had
about this,
Algier.
I love Algier.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy runs like a bat out of hell. This guy is insane. Like I love Algier, but that's the thing is you don't need Bijan. Like I was well, during the time I was all for Jalen Carter. I thought Jalen Carter could have been that pick, but I know the attitude problems and all that. I thought they could have addressed something else in that draft, but I mean Bijan's probably a top three running. I love run at the running back position, but I just think you could have went other areas. They did that with Penix. They did that with Bijan, and they were both top 10 picks.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like Penix was sixth, and Bijan was eighth. Now I understand a lot of people don't understand positional value, but running back was something that you could have addressed in free agency to go along with Algier, who was having a great season himself even that year. Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense to me with the correlation. So I think that's why you see a lot of these teams drafting high is they make mistakes in the early process of drafting and free agency. So that's what sets teams up for the future.
Yeah.
And that's where that's what's weird with the correlation between the Falcons and like a Bears team or like some, just something like that. That's why they're always at the bottom. I mean, respectfully.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the Bijan pick that like you said that running back was not their top need. Like you should be addressing with your first round pick in general, especially a top 10 pick because Algier was coming off a 1,000 plus yard rushing year. But it's like okay, so maybe that can be excused. At least Algier wasn't on a monster contract. But like Kirk Cousins, you just pay him all that money. He's going to be a franchise guy. And then they needed pass rush help too. They were like dead last in the league in like pressure rate. And So do you think they're going to get a pass rusher and they draft Penix with giving Kirk that contract? And they didn't even like tell Kirk they were going to draft Penix. So that's a mess. They pay Kirk all that money. They're probably going to release him. So at least the pick doesn't look as bad now. But yeah, they get a the Falcons. They had to talk about a disappointing year. They get some questions there. No, you still there, Dylan?
Oh, sorry.
You still
Yeah,
there?
know, I'm the. Hear me now?
Yep, yep. Now you're
Okay,
good.
sweet. Yeah, my thing just like bugged out a little bit.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I know that. It's just crazy with the Falcons. I don't know.
yeah. All right. Well, I think we covered a good amount. At
Oh yeah,
least we still got our NBA teams. Obviously, I'm a Celtics guy. You're a Thunder guy. I honestly think we're gonna meet up in the finals. Friggin', we were playing good the other night, and then we just forgot how to play basketball in the second half against you guys. Um,
I love the way our team is, and we don't even have Chet yet. So
yeah,
like, whole, whole group still has to come back. So it's it's exciting. It's exciting to be a Thunder fan. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah. I had us and you guys in the finals for my preseason pick. So that's still holding up strong. My NFL picks mostly went to hell. I got a decent amount right, but some of them like a friggin' idiot that just like randomized it in a generator or something. But my NBA picks or preseason picks are looking fairly decent right now, at least. We're just gonna get past the greatest team in history, the Cavaliers, this year for whatever reason. But
Yeah, right. I know it's crazy.
yeah, I think this is a pretty good
Yeah,
first
that was a really
episode. We yeah,
yeah, that was a very productive. Yeah,
yeah, very productive episode. We had to brainstorm some good names, get to file a patent when we make Mega Millions, number one on the iTunes podcast list. So yeah,
yeah.
any
Hey Nick, I want to thank you. Yeah, thank you for inviting me on and asking me to do this. So I
oh,
appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you for coming on. We'll have to make this a weekly thing if you're down.
Always.
Um,
Yes.
awesome. Yeah, so playoffs looking good. We get similar brackets. Pretty good discussion. We'll have to see how the wild card weekend plays out. Obviously, that shapes up the divisional round, but most of the wild card picks are kind of we are on the same page, except again that Tampa, Washington, and then Buffalo, Denver. Besides that, we got all the same teams. All right. Well,
Yep.
like I
All for
told
the
you, I never
Broncos.
know how the hell to end a video here, but yeah, I guess I'll thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully, we keep this up. You guys tune into the next one. Thank you guys for tuning in. Good luck if your team's in the playoffs. No offense if you're a Chiefs fan, but hopefully you guys lose. Well, actually, you're not playing this week anyway. But yeah, I'll end the video here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks for tuning in. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy the playoffs.